What's your name?
Exilia.
Okay, Exilia?
Without Michael's, I have a strong voice.
Oh, yes, you do.
I was in an office doing internship, and this person was being difficult to everybody. And there was a special event for the whole staff. Guess who has to stay to take care of the office? And at the event, everybody got a gift. Everyone. But nobody said, oh, we saved this for her. So I went to my supervisor and I said, look, this is happening. I don't want this to happen. And if you don't have anything else, I'm going to give her my gift. So my supervisor ended up to run downstairs, buy something, and bring it to her. And her attitude changed. Because when she saw that she was being taken care, even though she wasn't in the event, somebody took care of her to bring her something from the event. From that on, her attitude was changing, and then she became my best friend.
Wow. Awesome. Let's give it up for her. Wonderful. So one more. Anybody else want to share? I've seen another hand. And who's it
right here?
Who's here? Was that you?
I cannot.
Why are you so
But I already
Wait.
want to give a chance.
I want to go to somebody who hasn't said anything. Yes. What's your name? Mirelis? Okay, come stand up. We want to hear from you. Everybody say hi, Mirelis.
I have a little brother, so it's just only two of us. And when we came here with my...
Can you guys hear her? No.
Okay.
There you go.
Everybody hear me? Okay. I only have one brother. He's little than me. I was 14 years old, the only one, and then it was my brother. So we came with my father in here. My mom is taking the art. So when I started, he was little. He was practically maybe 5 years old, and I was already 14, 15. And all the time, because my father worked a lot and never stayed with at home, I was with him to the school, helping with the homework, with everything. And now that he is in high school and I'm in here in Hostos, and he's seeing me that I'm working, that I'm doing this and trying to get an A and be, as good. He now said, oh my God, I'm thinking he's on high school right now. Oh my God, I want to be like you, like because you are like this. He said, oh my God, but please don't focus just only to, don't work like that, just only focus in the school. And that's made me realize, I never realized that he is looking what I'm doing. So that's why I said, oh my God, maybe I'm a leader, and I didn't realize that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. He's watching you. And not only that, but he's inspired by you. Yes. So you are definitely a leader. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So we have these moments in our lives where we look back and we say, okay, you know what? I didn't realize I was this leader. And the truth of the matter is, so many times, our feelings are going to lie to us. Because how many of us do not feel like a leader? More often than not. Or you have times where you don't feel like you're a leader, or that you're very effective. I've struggled with that.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So by a show of hands, how many of you would say that you don't always feel like an effective leader? Or you question your leadership capability, right? That's all of us. Here's the thing about it. Feelings lie. Look at your neighbor, turn to somebody and say, your feelings are lying to you.
Your feelings are lying.
Your feelings are lying to you. Yes. Feelings are great.
Yes.
They're awesome. Especially when you're in love and you're feeling excited, or, good feelings feel great. Like, listen, we love our good feeling. But what about the negative and bad feelings, right? When we talk about leadership, I want to talk about this word. This is very important, this word. Emotions. emotions, our feelings, they can be the thing that drive us as a leader when we feel ambitious, when we feel effective, when we feel we're getting the results that we want. But the minute that we feel the opposite, those very same emotions can take us out. Take us out. And I mean literally sometimes too. Take us out. I remember, and I know this was because I dealt with a lot of trauma. I am a 3-time suicide attempt survivor. And what I love about this time, this time that we're in as a society, is that we're finally talking about mental health issues. We're finally talking about the word suicide, which was very taboo. The truth is, it's an epidemic, and it's something that's hitting communities regardless of race, ethnicity, culture, socioeconomic status. It is the reality, yes. What would you say it is? It's a problem. You want to stand? No? You want to take the mic? Can you hear her?
No.
Okay. We want to hear your comment.
I'd say that the issue with having a problem with your brain is being able to have a brain to solve the problem, I would say. So you need to have a certain mental stability in order to, your mind needs to be at a certain level in order for you to solve anything. And if your mind frame is not intact, to the point where you can auto-analyze yourself to make a change, then you have a big issue.
Absolutely. That's a very powerful comment. Thank you for sharing that. And I can say that is true from personal experience. Because
I would be afraid that we would look at it as an epidemic. It's not enough. You know, and closely it might be, it will be put it out there nowadays.
well, I work with the Suicide Prevention Institute, so when I look at the numbers and when we look at the reports and we see the headlines of newspapers and we see the statistics, it does say that it's an epidemic based on that. But you're taking it to another level in terms of.
I think the call it an epidemic would be, I've never heard of it. First time I hear someone describe mental health as an epidemic. I mean, it might be an epidemic, but to me it's like disrespectful to you, someone with mental health issues. You know, like.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, it's more than an epidemic. An epidemic might be the heroin curse. You know, an epidemic might be, fast food. That's an epidemic.
So what would make suicide different from, in terms of the level of the effect that it has on communities? Because the numbers.
Being suicidal, you're not conscious.
Are you conscious if you're addicted to drugs?
Once you do the drugs, you're on your way to buy them. You should be.
Well, I think.
Or then you have a mental illness.
Right. So what I like about your comment is that it's not enough just to kind of just say the term, right? And to kind of make it sound like it's a minimal issue. It's not. Because, and that's not what I'm trying to do. Because it's something that is very personal to me. And I know people and I work with people who are in a situation. They're either emotionally distressed, they're in crisis, they have suicidal thoughts, they're dealing with some level of mental illness or mental distress. Just because somebody is mentally distressed doesn't mean that they're mentally ill. Okay? Sometimes it's just a matter of circumstances that are creating the distress, that once you deal with the circumstance and you get to that place where you can solve the problem, then the stress is alleviated and removed, right? So that's a very important thing. So your comment brings that to the forefront, which I think is very important, and thank you for sharing that. Did you want to say something? Yes.
Because that's true, because you can have like a happy life, like, you probably have a good family, good job, this and that, but then it's like, when you're like in a certain area, maybe a job or you're at school, and then someone just targets you, and then it's like a whole group of them, and then it's like when you try to escape from that, and then there's like social media, and it's like you can't escape from that. It's
Right.
Like the whole world you had a picture that was clear became distraught.
But it's these circumstances,
Yeah.
right? If they were changed, the emotional distress wouldn't be there. Is that what you're saying? Correct, okay? So the reason that I'm bringing this up is because when we are developing as a leader, whether in college, in your career, in your home, community projects, all different areas of life, different levels of leadership, the greatest challenge that we face as leaders is our what?
Emotion.
Our emotions. When I was in college, I was very ambitious. I went to community college. It took me 4 years to get my 2-year degree. I was a single mom at the time. I had no direction. I was the first person in my immediate family to go to college. So there was nobody to help me navigate through the process. And I was dealing with trauma from the abuse that I had encountered that I really didn't understand. So I was dealing with depression, not calling it that, trying to cope, going to school at daytime, drinking at night, trying to find a coping strategy to deal with the pain. Coming to college looking good, getting A's, strong student, but at night when the lights turned out, Jessica was struggling. I felt inadequate, I felt depressed, I felt sad, I felt suicidal. Why am I saying that? Because I did not know how to control my emotions. Number one, I didn't get the help that I need initially, and some of us just need help. Some of us, our problem that we're facing, our obstacle that we're facing, can so quickly be solved if we just ask for help. And that's a hard thing to do, because there's something called pride, because we want to look together, we want to be strong, we want to be always on 100 in terms of how we appear to people. But the strongest leaders are also vulnerable. The strongest leaders also recognize that there are times in their lives when they didn't have it all together, but they pulled themselves together, and they learned from that, and they developed strength from those moments. So, when we look at emotions, what are some of the negative emotions that you believe leaders would struggle with on any level? What are some of the negative emotions? Self-doubt, fear,
Anger,
depression,
anger,
who?
Anger.
Anger, yes, yes. Anxiety, yes.
Low self-esteem.
Low self-esteem. I still struggle with anxiety. Burden, yes. Discouragement. Inadequate. So all of these negative emotions. What happens when we don't deal with them?
They convince you.
They deal with us. Right? And it becomes this blockage where we're going for these goals, we're excited, we start off hyped, like, yeah, I'm going to go to that vision and I'm going to do all these great things, and then our emotions come. And if we don't have a healthy coping strategy, that emotion or those emotions create a wall between where you are and your vision, and your purpose, and your potential. Have you ever been in a place, and I'll tell you personally, I struggled a long time with reaching my goals, because that's exactly what I did. I used to journal from when I was a teenager. That's how I wrote my first book. I had a compilation of different journals that I used throughout my teenage years, and when I went to write my memoir, I just gathered all my stories and, put my memoir together. The journaling was part of my coping mechanism to dealing with my emotion. But here's the thing. I was very driven and I had a lot of goals, but I could never actually achieve certain goals. How many of you feel like you're always setting goals, but most of the time you don't reach them, right? You know that's most leaders, right? Most of the time, there's a couple things that are happening. Often it's because the goal needs to be adjusted. Sometimes the goal is not in alignment with where you should be headed. Other times it's an internal issue, meaning an emotional issue. For me, it was the fact that I started excited, but then I quit before I got to the end point because I got discouraged when a problem arose. How many of you have obstacles in your life right now that if we went around the room, everybody would have a problem that they're dealing with? You either came through a problem recently, a storm, you're in a storm now, or you're getting ready to go into a storm. That's how life is. From end of August until last month, I had a series of storms. And you know why? It was the time where I was writing my second book that became a bestseller. And you know what I did differently this time? I didn't let my emotions stop me when I was going through the trials. I didn't quit going towards my goal. What I did was I pushed past my emotions, and I felt the emotion, but I kept going towards the goal. Versus in the past, I would have made it an excuse that, oh, I'm dealing with too much right now. And so often that becomes a pattern and a habit. We got a lot of good starters, but not enough finishers. Leaders are finishers. How many of you want to be finishers? Everybody here, right? You all want to be finishers. Your greatest challenge is going to be your emotions. That does not mean that there are legitimate life events that sometimes you have to pause. Pausing is different than quitting. Okay? Pausing and dealing with an issue and going back is different than quitting and then trying to go back and restart. Big difference. And you'll know it when you're going through it. Because quitting internally is like, I just can't be bothered with this. This ain't for me. I tried this too many times. I don't think I'm capable.
Yeah.
I'm not as smart as that one over there.
Yes.
I don't have what they have over there. I didn't get the education that she got over there. I don't have the resources that he has over there. And we start comparing. How many of you compare? If you're on social media, I promise you, you compare your life to other people's. You know why? Because social media is designed to make us compare our lives to other people. And if we don't guard our emotions, we'll become very depressed because we'll always think that we're not good enough, that we don't have enough. And I'm here to tell you that that is not true. That you have to safeguard your space. Some of us need to take a little break from social media for the rest of the semester so we can graduate on time.
Yes.
Some of us need to shut some of social media down for a little while, put a little, I'm going for maintenance, see you with my degree. Make that a public announcement so that you can stay focused on where you're headed, so that you can be a finisher. I have been very guilty of this. I know that I have a very big vision, and so often, and it's so subtle, like you gotta watch for the subtle stuff, right? That just kind of sneaks up on you, like you don't even realize it's happening. But it's happening because at a certain point, you realize like, whoa, I'm looking at everybody else's vision, and now I'm feeling jealous. What is that?
An emotion.
An emotion. You start looking at people and you're like, damn, they got it so good. They didn't come from another country like me. They didn't have to learn how to speak English like me. They make it look so easy. Listen, everybody has problems. And although we start at different levels, this is why you can't compare yourself. This is what really, really helped me one day. I realized that we all have our own starting point, right? So everybody starts at a different place. we all start at different places. So you can't compare your journey with somebody else's who maybe you're starting back here and they're starting over there. And you're looking at them and you're like, wow, they're so far ahead. Well, that's where they started. And look where you started. So don't compare. Because I can guarantee you that even though you might have started on this end of the journey and they may be on that side, who you become to that point of getting to where they are is going to be so much greater. You're going to be greater than them. Not in the sense of being a better person, but your experience and your value that you bring as a leader will be so much more valuable. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right? So if you're going to compare in a good way. Not in a way that makes you feel inadequate, that makes you feel bad about yourself. And social media, I love social media. I do Facebook Lives, I love connecting. I have family in Germany that I reconnected with. I have people in all different parts of the world, even friends that I met in Costa Rica. Guess what? It's a good tool to use if you use it for good, but often if we're not conscious about why we're using it, it becomes this thing that triggers our emotions. Okay? I know I'm deep, y'all. I know I'm deep. I know. But it's going to help you. Believe me, I know. It's going to help you because this is life.
Yes.
And we have to be able to navigate through the difficulties, through the obstacles. And the only way that we're going to do that successfully is if we learn how to manage and cope with our emotions.
Okay.
They don't teach us. But this is life. Very important. So let's look at our index cards, right? We spoke about leaders that we look up to, the qualities that they have. Then we looked at on the other index card B, we recognize that we are a leader. Everybody has their name on that card. And you were able to identify a time in your life where you rose up as a leader, maybe not giving yourself credit, but today you're going to give yourself credit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a word that my friend Gio mentioned earlier, and we're going to dig a little deeper into it. Okay. What word is that?
Vision.
What word is that?
Vision.
How many of you have a vision here?
Yes.
Everybody has a vision? How many of you know that you have a vision, but you just can't really see it clearly? I know I got a vision, I got some goals, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing. How many of you are like that? Because that was me, right? Okay, that's okay. Because we're gonna focus on clarity today. Remember I mentioned earlier, I want you to leave with something that you can apply now in your life. Don't want you just feeling good and hyped up. I want you to be able to take everything that you learned this week during this winter series and to be able to go home and start extracting these lessons, these tips, these nuggets, and applying them in your life. How many of you already started applying things that you learned this week in your life? Okay, raise your hand nice and tall if you already started implementing things. Great, okay. You want to share? Are you an introvert? Are you kind of shy and quiet? A little bit? Okay, what's your name? Elizabeth? Okay. Elizabeth? Okay, so Elizabeth has, she raised her hand because she started applying something that she learned this week. Can you tell us what you learned that when you left here, you applied it to your life?
I learned to be a better leader than I was in the past. I learned to have more self-confidence, to prove new things, to don't limit myself, and to share with other people. Doesn't matter who are. I learned a lot of things and I'm trying to improve it.
Awesome. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? I saw a lot of hands go up. Yes. What's your name? Allison. Everybody say, hey, Allison. Yeah, come on, because they need to hear you back there.
So, like I told you guys that I am an event planner, so what I did was I wanted to dedicate at least 1 hour out of each day towards growing my business. So I went to a vision board party that my friend, she's a lawyer, and she had a vision board party for a few ladies. And one thing I put on there is that, well, obviously I want to grow my business. So I told her I'll just start to event plan for every event that she has, just to get my name out there. So.
So, she did something that's very important. She took action, right? Because I know you guys heard a lot. I saw the agenda, the itinerary this week. You guys had some incredible speakers. And I know they were bringing the nuggets. You know, they were bringing the gold. So the fact that you went out and you did that, and you knew that you left here more confident, and you saw yourself as a leader is extremely powerful. Perspective is everything. Perspective is everything. One more. Anybody else want to share? What was something that you learned this week that you already started applying?
Here.
I'm going to go to her, then I'll come to you. I'll do 2 more.
I started to challenge myself more and be a little bit more positive in myself than I was back then.
So how did you do that?
When I heard these speakers admit their fears and said like you don't have to always like try to put so many obstacles for yourself. You can always just do one obstacle at a time, and admitting that and doing that is like your step closer of reaching that.
Gotcha. Okay. So what's your name? Brianna. Okay. So Brianna is more intentional about being positive. Okay? How many of you struggle with negative self-talk? All of us, right? I believe we live in a very negative society. Okay? I stopped watching the news. No, this is a true story. When I was struggling with depression, I was trying to figure out what are my triggers? What's causing my depression? I realized that the news was one of the triggers to my depression. You know why? Because it triggered my emotions. If I hear a story about a child being abused, I get extremely emotional. If I hear about a senior citizen being abused, I get extremely emotional. And what does the news share? All those stories.
Yes.
And more, right? Every single day. And here's the thing about it. Have you noticed that the news comes on every hour of the day? At least on some station?
Yes.
Okay? Did you also notice that they share the most depressing and gruesome stories at the top of the hour?
Yep.
Okay, I'm not the only one. Good. So I stopped watching the news because what I realized was that the news was making me a negative person. It made me feel negative towards people. It made me feel negative towards myself. It made me live in fear. You know, like it creates all these different thoughts that trigger my emotions. So for me, I stopped watching the news. So my family used to say, because they used to crack jokes on me, and they said to me, well, how are you going to know what's going on? Easy. I got you to tell me. You know why? Because if something big is actually happening, you're going to hear about it without watching the news.
Yes.
Right? Whatever you need to know, trust me, you're going to know it. Yes. So another one here that stopped watching the news. So I like that you brought that up because we have to look at the triggers. Got to get to the root. What's triggering my negative emotions? Because I have all this information in me that I learned at this winter's workshop series. I have my vision, I have all these exciting things, but I'm not really feeling excited. Matter of fact, I'm feeling kind of down, and I'm feeling kind of hopeless. So what's causing that, right? Our negative thoughts are one of those culprits. So yes, we want to hear from you. Yeah, okay, you don't need the mic here.
Since we started coming on Monday, I have learned that I am not here by myself. That I struggle, and there are other people struggling with the same thing that I am. Something that I learned yesterday from Ariel Moody, that we all do the same things. So today I am more confident to be speaking to you like I am right now, because I am improving with every single workshop.
Awesome. Love it. Yes. So she's implementing, and you know what you're doing? Because takes me to my next point. When we talk about vision, one of the key things about vision is this here. Anybody know this word? I'm going to write it. What happened to this? Did the battery die? Maybe. Okay, this one's from early. Here. You guys can't see that, right?
No.
I'm going to, hold on, let me do it again. Let's use the blue.
Technical assistant.
Okay. So, let me just make sure I turn this on. Hello. All right, let the battery die. Who's our technical assistant? While we're waiting. Okay. So when we talk about vision, right, which is something we're really going to dissect right now, is inspiration. You were inspired by what was said in this room. How many of you feel inspired right now? Oh. You feel inspired. You're like, oh, okay, come to the world, right? That's awesome. Here's the thing though. If you're not intentional about staying inspired, life is going to snatch the inspiration away.
Yes.
And you're going to go back to thinking about how am I going to pay for my tuition? Why I got to work 2 jobs? Why is this? I got this obstacle. I got this going on. I got this going on. And you're going to be so consumed with the obstacles that what happens to the inspiration? It dies out. So in order to get to the vision and to continue the journey of going from one end to the other, and growing from one end to the other and going from level to level is being inspired. That's why I turned off the news, because the news was not inspiring me. I stopped my newspaper subscription. Whatever was not inspiring me, I got rid of it. Guess what I did one day? One day, I don't know where my phone is. I think it's in my bag. I took my phone and I went through my contacts and I started deleting everybody that made me feel negative and grumpy and frustrated, including family members. Okay? I'm telling you, when I did that, for a split second I felt a little guilty, but after that I felt so light and free. I literally went through my contacts and I was like, oh, okay, I love this person. Ooh, I do not want to hear from them. And I started deleting people. I must have deleted about 100 names out my phone. Listen, we have to have church in here. Okay? Listen, it was a very liberating thing. But you know what? It made a difference in helping me to stay inspired. I am very intentional about who I let in my circle. And as a leader, you need to do the same thing. Sometimes you live with negative people and you have no control. I live with negative people. So it wasn't until I moved out on my own and I got my first apartment, I was so happy to have peace. Listen, I didn't even have a TV in my crib for like 2 years because I didn't even want to hear noise or people talking because I came from such a dysfunctional family. And every time we heard people talking, it was people cursing at each other. Now, you may not have an extreme situation like that, but I am sure you have people in your life that when they come around you or they call you, you are automatically, your mood switches negative. There are some people, you need to love them from afar. This is very important. This is a new year. How many of you have people in your phone right now that you need to delete? How many of you need to delete some people from your phone right now? I'm going to give you 2-3 minutes. Go through your phone and start deleting people. She did that. You ahead, but we're going to let the others catch up, okay? Yes. Yes. You got 3 minutes. Go through your contacts, and if the person makes you feel sick to your stomach or you get a negative vibe when you see their name, delete them. Wish them well. Now listen, this does not mean that you're never going to talk to them again, okay? I talk to my family, I do, but there was a time where I stopped taking their calls for a minute because I had to get my mind right, and I had to stay inspired because I had a goal, and I needed to keep moving forward, and I knew that they were going to be a disruption to me moving forward.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody tell you that you think you're better than somebody, or that you're, because they started calling me arrogant. Oh, Jess, you think you're better than somebody now? No, I don't think I'm better than anybody, but I'm trying to do better for myself. I'm trying to do better for my life. Don't let anybody make you feel guilty for wanting better. Some of us are scared to grow and to be awesome because we're afraid of what people are going to say about us. Time to delete some of those people. That wasn't even on my agenda today, but I guess somebody needed to hear that, like to address this particular topic. Yes, you wanted to say something. Yes. Yes. Do you want to use the mic and share with all of us? Okay, so she's going to share a thought. Is this in regards to negative people? It's not? Can you hold off until we get towards the end? Okay. Just make sure that you remind me. I just want to stay on this point. Yes. Does it include who? That's a good question. What's your name? Okay, so Michelle asked, when it comes to deleting people out of my phone, does that include parents?
Yeah.
Now listen, I deleted my own mother. Let me tell you why. My mother was my greatest stressor. Okay? If we're going to talk about developing as leaders, we have to talk about setting boundaries. And we have to talk about relationships. All of these things affect our emotions. If your emotions are triggered and you're in a negative place, then you're not going to be inspired. You're not going to be